Good morning. Let's start the daily discussion. The first topic that we'll take up today is regarding the climate adaptation and climate funding. Okay. Adaptation Gap Report 2023 Need for Revamping Climate Financing to Promote Adaptability to Climate Changes. So, climate change is the big challenge before the global community right now. The issue is arranging fund for adapting to new technology and new measures. Okay, that is what is according to the UN Environment Programme's most recent edition of the Adaptation Gap Report 2023. Developing nations collectively require at least $215 billion annually this decade in order to undertake significant adaptation work. Okay, the report says that developing countries only. Okay, so developing country collectively will require 215 billion US dollar annually in this decade to undertake significant adaptation work. Only roughly 21 billion USD or 15% less than in prior years was allocated to developing nations for adaptation project in 2021. The requirement is around 215 billion, but 21 billion has been only arranged and given to them during okay. So the availability of funding to carry out adaptation projects is the main topic of this year's report. Arrangement of fund for this adaptation are the major topic of discussion this year. The key highlights of the Adaptation Gap Report 2023: the disparity between projected adaptation financing needs and cost and finance flow is known as the adaptation finance gap. The requirement and the flow. The gap, suppose 1 crore required or $1 billion required, only 10 million has been arranged, so 90 million is the gap. That is the adaptation gap or adaptation finance gap. The adaptation gap is at least 50% higher than previous range estimates and is probably 10 to 18 times larger than the current level of international adaptation finance flow. Fine. The estimated annual cost of the current adaptation finance gap is between USD 194 and $366 billion. Parity of gender in financing: just 22% of the international public finance for adaptation that has gender equality has a primary goal is deemed to be gender responsive, and the remaining 24% is deemed to be gender specific or integrative. One is gender specific, the rest are gender specific. One is gender responsive, rest is Okay. Strategy to boost funding, private financing. So, in many developing nations, domestic budgets are likely to be significant source of funding for adoption, ranging from 0.2% to over 5% of government budgets. Domestic expenditure and private finance are therefore potentially significant sources of adaptation finance. Okay. Additionally, there is inconsistent evidence that the private sector is increasingly involved in adaptation initiative globally and is the majority of industries including water, food, agriculture, infrastructure and transportation and tourism. Internal investment. Large corporations, internal investments, financial institutions, funding of adoption-related initiatives, and business provisions of adaptation-related goods and services are all desperately needed. In India, the CSR, corporate social responsibility options, can also be investigated in order to meet objectives for financing and adapting to climate changes. If you look at this, so international public adaptation finance, domestic expenditure on adaptation, private sector finance, increase in financing from SME remittances, and this is reform of the global financial architecture. Greater international corporate cooperation is required to unblock finance at the scale. This is what is the requirement. The core approach, three: international public adaptation finance, then the domestic expenditure and private sector participation. The core one, these are the additional things or additional approaches. Okay. Restructuring the world financial architecture. Okay. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Okay. So the report emphasizes the need for reforms and global financial architecture, in light of the stark inadequacy of current level of international financial flow towards combating climate change. What concern do developing countries have regarding climate financing? Limited capacity of developing countries. Since there is no quick fix to stop the effects of climate change, adaptation is essential for protecting lives, livelihoods, and ecosystems, especially in vulnerable and developing nations with low resilience. Sufficient funding for climate change adaptation is necessary. The viability of developing countries implementing adaptation measures in order to help local population better deal with rising temperature and their effects. Countries implement a variety of adaptation measures depending on their unique needs. These measures include securing water sources, building climate resilient infrastructure, experimenting with heat resisting crops, strengthening coastline, and building seawall in island nations. However, these adaptable measures impose financial obligations that are outside the purview of government budgets. Proactive deficit in developed nations. According to international climate agreements, developed countries have a duty to provide technology and financial support to help developing nations adapt to climate change. This was agreed as per the Paris Climate Agreement. Rich nations have signed numerous conventions. Okay. The majority of the developing nations have included a list of adaptation needs in their national determined contribution NDCs climate action plans, which are meant to record each nation's share of the global effort to combat climate change. The efforts being made by developed countries, objective of the US 100 billion Green Climate Fund has been established as per the Paris Climate Agreement. This is known as the Green Climate Fund. So, to which the developed country will contribute $100 billion per annum. Okay. $100 billion per annum will be contributed by the developed countries for climate related programs in the underdeveloped and poor countries. Okay, but the contribution is comparatively less. They're not, although they have promised to pay, committed to pay, but when it comes to regularly they are not paying it. That is some extent putting pressure on the implementation of the programs by the developing and underdeveloped countries of the world. Okay. The need for climate, the UNFCCC platform To the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, efforts are being made to increase the financial flow for all types of climate needs, not just adaptation. This effort is collectively referred to as climate finance. However, the need for climate finance has increased dramatically and is currently estimated to require trillions of dollars annually. It requires trillions of dollars annually for this funding. Climate Conference in Glasgow. At the 2021 Climate Conference in Glasgow in Scotland, the developed nations pledged to increase funding for adaptation by double. There is also a separate agreement that is by 2025, a new climate financing target exceeding $100 billion annually, which was been established by the Paris Climate Agreement in 2015, will be established. So, the amount will be more than $100 billion. $100 billion Green Climate Fund was established at the Paris Climate Conference, but at the Glasgow they agreed to double it by 2025. New qualified collective objective: closing the climate finance gap with the aid of developing countries will be made possible by the doubling of adaptation finance by 2025, and the new collective quantified goal for 2030 that is being discussed. Emission Gap Report is an annual publication on global progress on climate action. The aim of this report is to reflect on the trend of greenhouse gas emissions, to keep a track of the Paris Agreement, to keep global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is what is being discussed now. So that needs to be further strengthened. Next is social justice. The largest mobile phone nutrition monitoring system is global health history was launched by the Indian government. The Poshan Tracker. The scheme known as Poshan Tracker. Okay, Poshan Tracker. This will lead to India adopting a data-driven nutritional policy. Other examples of the app-based nutrition tracker around the world: UNICEF Rapid SMS project in Malawi, a small project in 9 primary health centers by university researchers in the Republic of Mauritius. About Poshan Tracker app, the Anganwadi centers, child care centers, the services rendered by the Anganwadi workers, and the full beneficiary management for expectant nursing mothers and children under 6 are all visible from a 360-degree perspective through this application called the Poshan Tracker. Additionally, it automates the digitizes the physical registers that employees use to help raise the caliber of their work. Smartphones purchased through the government e-market are being given to Anganwadi workers in order to facilitate effective service delivery. Additionally, a nodal point has been designed to handle technical support and troubleshoot any issue pertaining to the download and operation of the new Poshan Tracker application in each state. According to the sources, any migrant worker who had registered in their home state could visit the closest Anganwadi in their new community to take advantage of the program and services provided. The Minister of Women and Child Development introduced it. Okay. Poshan Tracker app's advantage in India. The Ministry of Women and Child Development recently released the Poshan 2.0 guidelines, which include the Poshan Tracker as a key component. It centralized the ICT-enabled information communication technology-enabled platform was created to encourage accountability and transparency in the last mile delivery of nutrition services. The most recent information available from the Poshan Tracker dashboard indicates that 72 million children under 5 have had their weight and height recorded via the Poshan Tracker. Okay. The most recent information available from the postal tracker dashboard indicates that 72 million children under 5 have had their weight and height recorded via the postal tracker. Real-time observation of over 50% of the nation's children. Additionally, 94% of the beneficiaries have had their Aadhaar verified. The postal tracker dashboard collects data on 3 sets of indicators at the national, state and district level in addition to the beneficiary data. The first is the Anganwadi infrastructure, which includes the quantity of Anganwadi center constructed, whether or not they have running water or toilets, and if they are open for service delivery. Counting the number of recipients who were given hot meals and take-home rations as opposed to raw rations in the second step. Third, keeping an eye on the nutritional result. By identifying children who are struggling at an early age, focusing on beneficiaries who are experiencing acute malnutrition, and keeping an eye on the efficient provisions of the ICDA services, the portion tracker is intended to serve as a real-time feedback loop for frontline workers in fight against malnutrition. The portion tracker offers a number of modules including benefits. The benefits includes beneficiary registration, a dashboard for tracking key performance indicators of particular underperforming districts, a job aid module for daily tracking, a home visit schedule for the Anganwadi workers. Growth monitors height and weight in accordance with WHO standards, migration assistance for beneficiaries moving to another Anganwadi center within or outside the state, and a portal for reporting community engagement on nutrition promotion. Additionally, district modules of the Anganwadi centers in border and tribal area are being developed. The portion tracker app reduces the possibility of error when manually entering nutrition data, which improves the data accuracy. It automatically constructs the child statistics into different categories. To the portion tracker, decision maker can access beneficiary specific data for prompt and local action that is based on observations made on the ground rather than modules developed by academics. Real-time data transmission to local, state and federal office is made possible by the portion tracker. It eliminates the need for numerous registers and manual entries. Apart from the expeditious transfer of data on the government, the portion tracker app facilitates more convenient retrieval of child-specific information compared to large paper-based registers, thereby freeing up more time for nutritional promotion at the AWC level of care. The fact that Anganwadi workers in India are overworked must be taken into account, and great care must be taken to make sure that the portion tracker is regularly updated based on their feedback to improve the user friendliness. Conclusion: the portion tracker's data can thus catalyze concrete and actionable outcomes at the grassroots level in order to achieve the goals outlined in the portion 2.0 guidelines. Okay. The next is the State of the Climate Service Report 2023. World Meteorological Organization (WMO) releases the State of Climate Service Report for 2023. The early report this year focuses on health. It highlights climate change may undermine decades of progress towards better health, particularly in the most vulnerable areas. Air pollution financing gap. Air pollution is the fourth leading cause of death by health risk factor, although it receives only 2% of international climate funding phases. Climate information is underutilized. Climate knowledge improves public health prevention, practice, and preparation to save lives. 74% of the National Meteorological and Hydrological Services provide climate data to health actors, but utilization of this data remains limited. Health-related climate services entails partner collaboration to find, access, develop, and apply credible climate knowledge for better health decisions. Such services face the following challenges: research and knowledge base gaps, lack of access to sufficient local meteorological observations, insufficient human and institutional capacity, etc. The recommendation: there is a need for tailored climate information and services to support the health sector. This can be achieved through developing in-country capacities to improve local knowledge, policy mandates for health and meteorological actors to collaborate, raising awareness about the importance of climate information. Okay. Then next, in the court in Hague, in Netherlands, rejects Indian government plea against the compensation to Devas Multimedia. Okay. So Devas Multimedia is an agency with whom ISRO, the Rantis Corporation, signed the agreement. So the UN Commission on International Trade Law UNCITRAL panel awarded Mauritius investors of Devas Multimedia $111 million in compensation for a failed 2005 contract. The Antis Corporation, the commercial wing of ISRO. The government called for ISRO to launch two communication satellites to Devas Multimedia for a period of 12 years. In 2011, the cabinet terminated the agreement for security reasons. ISRO's commercial, so Antis Corporation is the commercial wing of Indian Space Research Organization. The Devas Corporation was established or registered in Mauritius. Okay. By some ex-ISRO scientists and senior officials. Indian government approved the District Court of Hague for cancellation of the UNCITRAL award, citing a 2022 Indian Supreme Court order. It was rejected. The Supreme Court ruled for the liquidation of the Devas Multimedia on the charge of fraud. An award made under the UNCITRAL arbitration rules is binding on all parties to the proceeding. Arbitration law in India. India's Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, last amended in 2021, has been modeled on line of the UNCITRAL frameworks of law, aims to modernize Indian arbitration law and bring it in line with the best global practices, and also make India a global hub for arbitration. New Delhi International Arbitration Center Act 2019 established the New Delhi International Arbitration Center, later renamed India International Arbitration Center. India Arbitration Council Act 1996 has been modeled lines of the ancestral framework of law. It aims to modernize Indian arbitration law and bring it in line with the best global practices and also make India a global hub for arbitration. New Delhi International Arbitration Center Act 2019 established the New Delhi International Arbitration Center, later renamed India International Arbitration Center. Then the Lysonotus namchomi. Lysonotus namchomi is a new species of epiphytic plant which grow upon another plant discovered by the scientists of the Botanical Survey of India. Native range of this genus Lysonotus is Himalayas, Japan and Indochina. New species bear thick leaves and attractive purple flower. Is named in honor of late Chau Punko Namchon, a social reformer from Andhra Pradesh Kapti community. The Botanical Survey of India, established in 1890, the apex research organization under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It carries out taxonomic studies on wild plants resources of the country. Then enabling communication on real-time environment, ENCORE, Election Commission of India designed in-house software for complete candidate and election management through ENCORE. It is an end-to-end application for returning officers to digitize the vote pool, tabulate the road round-wise data, and then take out various statutory reports of counting. Another application called the ENCORE Scrutiny application allows the returning officer to scrutinize the nomination filed by candidates online. Through the ENCORE nodal application, various departments like fire, education, police, environment, etc. give no objection certificate for holding rallies, road shows, etc. to political parties or candidates. Common Research and Technology Development Hubs. The DS had Common Research Technology Development Hubs VANIK-IAS 2023 was inaugurated. Okay. So about this DCRTDH, Department of Science and Distance Research (DSIR) has been implementing the program known as the Common Research and Technology Development Hubs. It aims to encourage micro, small, medium enterprises for conducting industrial R&D innovation activity and strengthening R&D infrastructure in public funded research institutions. It recognizes the importance of MSME in the overall economy of India and therefore focuses on the creation of R&D infrastructure in driving scientific advancement, technological innovation and socio-economic development. Initiated in the year 2014-15, has now entered the 10th year of successful implementation with the 18 CRTDs across the country. These CRTDH have notable achievements along with success stories of some of the stakeholders associated with them, which are truly forwarding the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and strengthening the momentum of vocal for local. Examining the obstacles and efforts of communalization on national development and social cohesion, talk about how state policy can combat communalism. So introduction. So the question: examine the obstacles and efforts of communalism on national development, because India is a country which has seen communalism many times. Okay, and how it is affecting the national development and social cohesion. Talk about how state policy can combat communalism growth in the country. It is the ideology that prioritizes a religious group's unique identity, relation to other groups, and has a propensity to advance that group's interest at the expense of others. It is frequently employed as a tool of political propaganda in order to support vote bank politics. Challenges and implications of communalism, social disparities and estrangements. Communalism creates a sense of us versus them between various religious or ethnic groups, communities that are divided as a result of frequently experience alienation, mistrust, and isolation. Violence and conflict, tension within the community have the potential to turn violent and result in the loss of life and property. Financial inequality, economic inequality can result from communalism because some groups are discriminated against in the workplace and in business opportunities. This could obstruct the nation's economic development. Instability in politics, these differences can be taken advantage of by communal politics, which can result in instability and poor governance. State policies' role in combating communism. Reform in education, encourage non-religious education that promotes respect and understanding between various communities. Incorporate curricula that honor diversity and encourage unity among all people. Lawful structure enforce stringent anti-discrimination legislation to safeguard each community's right. Make sure such communal violence receive prompt equitable justice. The National Commission for Communal Harmony Justice and Reparation established the Ministry of Home Affairs to address and prevent communal violence. Community engagement. Okay. Promote cooperation and communication across religious and ethnic divides. Okay. Encourage neighborhood-based initiatives that advance social cohesion. The Hamari Dharar program was started by the Minister of Minority Affairs in order to protect the rich cultural legacy of India's minority communities. Medical control, control the media to stop hate speech and false information from spreading, as these things can heighten tension within communities. Encourage impartial reporting that emphasizes diversity and cohesion. Financial integration, adopt affirmative action measures to guarantee marginalized communities equitable access to economy, invest in development initiatives in regions where there has been a history of intercommunal strife. The Prime Minister's new 15-point program for the welfare of minority has been put into effect by the Ministry of Minority Affairs. Reform in politics, urge political parties to refrain from using racial divisions as a means of gaining electoral advantage, encourage representative and inclusive governance framework. Guidelines have been released by the Election Commission of India to stop the exploitation of caste and religion for political advantage. It is strictly issued by the Election Commission of India and enforced, but still communalism remain a big issue. Recently, you can see communal violence in Sambalpur in Odisha. Okay, during the procession, Hanuman Jayanti procession. Okay, instances are quite in a peaceful state like Odisha. Communalism also and communal violence get manifested at times. The violence with the death of Swami Lakshmanand Saraswati in Kodamar. Okay, the violence in Kerala, the violence in Delhi, the anti-Sikh riots. Okay, all so many instances. A nation's overall development and social cohesion are seriously hampered by communalism. Government have the power to foster an atmosphere that support the advancement and sustainable development of all citizens. Okay, all citizens by tackling the underlying causes of communalism and encouraging unity. Prioritizing these policies is essential for nations to guarantee a more promising and united future. Okay. Then coming to the reference to question number 1, that MCQ with reference to river dolphin as the following statement. Amazon river dolphin, also known as the pink river dolphin or Poto. Ganga river dolphin is the largest river dolphin, right? The population of the Indus dolphin has experienced a significant decline in recent times. So only one is correct. Reference to the China population policy, consider the following. China embarked upon the one-child policy in 1980s. The country's population was approaching 1 billion. From 2010, the government of China adopted a two-child policy, a policy change that significantly helped to arrest the rapid fall in population growth. The three-child policy was announced after China's 2020 census data, which showed that the country's rate of population growth is falling rapidly. So the question number 2, okay. So 2, 1 and 3 are correct. So 2. The following statement regarding the Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, Cobra. Okay. It is especially into the Indian Army of CRPF. So 1 is wrong. It was originally established to counter the left-wing extremism or nationalism. So 2 is correct. So B. The following statement regarding the tellurium, it is property of both metals and non-metals, right? It is found combined with metals in minerals, so also correct, both. But the following statement regarding the yttrium or plastics, it can be reshaped numerous times when exposed to higher temperature, right? It is biodegradable plastic, so both 1 and 2 are correct. Reference to the H. pylori, consider the following statement, is a virus that affects human nervous system wrong. It usually infects a person during the childhood, right? It is treated with combination of antibiotics and a proton pump inhibitor. Both 2 and 3 are correct, only 2. The NASA's Kepler Space Telescope learns from for determining the abundance of Earth-sized planets in their orbit. So, answer is C. 100% gap report sometimes seen is news about the world. It is about the World Environment, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. Consider the following statement regarding the Turid Met Soyer. The debris from the periodic comet 2P these are caused by the gravitational pull of Neptune, which so only 2 is correct. So 1 is correct, not 2. So here only 1 is correct, 2 is wrong. The enabling communication or real-time environment and core software is developed by Election Commission of India to give a real-time picture of the real-time monitoring of the election.